I think we saw it coming. The mindset is to toughen things out. All that stress, all that pressure, the necessity to do 20 jobs at once. You are your own support functions. There's no support on someone. Leading a business is a lonely place, even with a co-founder. He came in that morning and he said, I can't do it anymore. Every week is challenging. And every day will ambush you with something.
Yeah.
What we did is probably impossible. We entered a market of established giants. I'd wanted to join the Marines since I was probably about 13. I was a pretty enthusiastic Royal Marine. But curiously, I was one of those people who also probably wanted to leave from day one.
How so?
I suppose because
if you're enjoying this podcast, can I ask you to do one thing for me? That is to hit the subscribe button. On average, we have just 10% of people who listen to this podcast actually subscribe to it. If you subscribe to it, not only will you be the first person to be notified as soon as any brand new content goes live, it also means that we can go out and get even better guests for the show for you to enjoy. So just take 15 seconds of your time just to hit that subscribe button and I'll be eternally grateful. Thank you very much. So 21 years in the military in total for you.
Yeah.
Did you have a vision of what life would look like post-military before you left or as you were leaving?
I didn't really, Alex. I only ever wanted to join the Marines. I was a pretty enthusiastic Royal Marine. But curiously, I was one of those people who also probably wanted to leave from day one.
How so?
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose because it's that exploration aspect of my character. I like to explore. I like newness. I like being tested. It's not novelty seeking as such. It's like for me, it's like what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that's how I conducted my career. I did a series of interesting jobs that kept me in, and when I was ready to leave, another interesting job would be dangled in front of me, or I'd see it, the opportunity for it, and go for it. So I probably stayed in a little longer than I would have expected. As I came to leave the Marines, when I'd finally sort of ticked all the boxes, I'd done everything I wanted to do, and I was both satisfied and probably becoming somewhat disillusioned or stale or bored by what could be next. Then I decided to leave. That was probably a 2 to 3 year process. A couple of years thinking about it. Then you have to give a year's notice.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I worked my year's notice. Now it seemed to me that most ex-Marines officers go into one of just a handful of industries. Security, obviously. Well, that looked to me just like being in the Marines, but possibly more dangerous. And Tommy did that for a couple of years, extraordinarily well paid. He was out in Libya when that all went up, and other places in Africa as well, earning a lot of money. Security is one of them. There seemed to be quite a few ex-Marines officers in finance, but that was more of a younger person's game. And then some go into medicine, become doctors, those sorts of things. Management consultancy is a big one, leadership management consultancy. I've never felt warm towards consultancy. I'd rather be doing it. So none of those appealed. What did appeal was starting my own business, and what did appeal was doing something in what Tommy and I sort of vaguely referred to as the outdoor space. Could have been guiding, it could have been making rucksacks. It turned out to be making clothing, which we kind of always knew it would be. So during that notice period, about 3 months away from it, I emailed Tommy, who'd been outside for a couple of years, and posed that question: do you fancy starting an outdoor company? He said, yeah, sounds great. And that was our screw it, let's do it, or just do it moment. We went in on that.
And how long from idea to actually doing it, living, breathing it?
Right, so we got our from registering the company, which is probably when the idea, thinking of the idea, naming the company, then registering it. That was pretty quick, obviously. To getting a product to market was probably about 18, 20 months, something like that. the first thing we did was write a business plan. So we did all the research and so on and so forth. And one of the strengths we did have, I suppose, was the ability to plan. We knew nothing about commercial environment, nothing about the outdoor industry. We knew what clothes should look like and how they should perform. We knew we loved the outdoors, and we knew we could put together some sort of plan. Whether it was a tactical, operational, strategic plan, the precepts of that looked no different in the civilian world to the military world. We didn't know that at the time, just applied what we had.
Yeah.
So we put together a business plan and worked out how much we needed to finance it, which realistically is probably about £3 million to give yourself a bit of runway and breathing space.
In your space?
I think so, yeah.
Kind of gear you're turning out.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think if you've got a good company, you can give it a really fair shake and dominate with an angel investment round like that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get one. So we started it with £60,000.
Bit different.
Bit different, yeah. And we were facing not being paid for, an indeterminate period, which is exactly what happened. You do a good couple of years without a salary. And at the same time, we raised shortly afterwards a sum a little bit more than that, not much more than that, from an angel investor. And that was an interesting process as well. It was really it felt at times like the sort of Dragon's Den type of show and tell and get criticised and yelled at. And it was literally that. We went to a hotel in Swansea off the M4 or something, where a bunch of potential investors come together, and you stand up in front of them, and most of them are just there for the sport. So we've gone from sort of senior positions in the military to what felt like begging for money and trying to sell our idea.
Supper, yeah.
But it's a ritual you have to go through, and it worked for us. We got a supportive investor straight away, and she invested in us and got us off the ground.
What's been the most challenged you've been since starting Jöttnar, would you say? We talked about obviously Tommy leaving, but accepting that maybe.
The most challenged. It's difficult to discern, I think, Alex, because
every week
is challenging, and every day will ambush you with something.
Yeah.
And in the early days, you're sort of lurching from crisis to crisis. You're not in panic mode. Let me rephrase that. You're lurching from difficulty to difficulty.
Yeah.
What we did is probably impossible. We entered a market of established giants. Our nearest sort of credible competitor revenue at the time was north of 100 million. I think North Face then, they're not really an outdoor brand, they're in a different space now, but I think then their revenue was over 2 billion.
Was that?
Okay, so you're trying to make an entrance into that. You've also given yourself in technical outdoor clothing a serious product challenge as well. It's not fast fashion, it's not gym wear, it's not athleisure. It's difficult to make, very long lead times, it's expensive to make as well. It has to perform, your reputation rides on that. And that for us actually was part of our sort of entry vision, is we knew how this clothing needed to perform. We knew we could make it better and improve it in all the details. So we've given ourselves a hell of a challenge. It was possibly impossible.
And that's ultimately what you're hanging your hat on as your USP to make you stand out from the competition. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's certainly very important to us, and that's something we've closely guarded.